Hi everyone. In this video, we would be learning about factory design pattern, which is one of the creational design pattern. So in order to learn that, we'll try to answer three questions. First is, what is a factory design pattern? Then we'll see what will happen if we don't use factory design pattern where it is actually needed. And finally, we'll convert a code which is not following factory design pattern to a code which follows factory design pattern. Okay. So now first, let's try to understand what and why with the help of one example. So I've taken one popular example, which is Clash of Clans. So this is one game. I think most of us might have played this game in our life. If you haven't played, so let me briefly explain this to you. So in this game, you generally attack on your enemy in order to loot some resources from them, right? So for attacking, you will need army, isn't it? So firstly, you need to create the army. The army will not have humans, but it will have the characters which are shown over here. So it will have wizard, barbarian, hog rider, archer, etc. So in order to create the army, what you have to do, you have to first click on this barracks. Once you click on that, you'll have an interface like this. So let's say you want to create this barbarian. So you just go to this barracks and just click on this button. So once you click on this button, one barbarian would be created. If you click on this wizard, then one wizard would be created. If you click on this archer, then one archer would be created. So the point that I want to highlight over here is whatever the user will select, okay, whatever the user will select, accordingly one object would be created. If user selects hog rider, then hog rider object would be created. So definition for factory design pattern will be something like this. Factory design pattern is a design pattern which is used to create object based on user input. Okay. You are creating an object based on input given by the user. That's it. It's very simple to understand. So what we'll do over here is we'll assume that we don't know factory design pattern and we'll start writing the code and we'll see what all problems that we are facing over there. And once we face certain problems, we'll try to convert our code and make the code follow factory design pattern. Okay. So now let's check out the code. So firstly, I have created the abstract class called as troop. The troop will have the health and the damage. And it will have two abstract functions called as attack and move. So all the concrete troops like barbarian, archer, wizard, hog rider, etc. will extend the troop class. So they will also have one health and damage. And they have to implement this function called as attack and move. So over here, what barbarian will do is barbarian will use his sword in order to attack the enemy. Similarly, archer will shoot an arrow in order to attack the enemy. Wizard will throw the fireball in order to attack the enemy. And hog rider will use his hammer to smash the defenses. Okay. So these are the concrete classes or the concrete troops. Now the main code that we should focus is this client code. Okay. So in the client code, what we are doing is we are taking the user input. So currently I am taking the input from the console. So whatever I'll be giving the input, accordingly I have to create the object, right? So let's say I give the input of barbarian. So in that case, if the input is barbarian, then I'll create the object of barbarian. If the input is archer, then I'll create the object of archer, and so on and so forth. So if let's say I select wizard, so in that case, this troop should throw the fireball. Okay. So let's run the code and see whether this code is working or not. Let's select wizard. As you can see, it is working perfectly because wizard will throw the fireball. But but did you observe any problem over here? Let me show you a couple of problems. The first is currently this client one wants to take the user input and wants to create the object accordingly. Now let's assume that client 2 also wants to take the user input and create the object. And similarly, there are hundreds of clients. It means that this particular block of code is repeated in all the hundreds of files, which is clearly the problem because we are duplicating the code. So this is the first problem that I can observe. The second problem is currently my game supports 4 characters, 4 troops. Now in future, let's say I want to add one more troop. So what I'll do is I'll add this else if statement, and let's say the name of the troop is giant. So I have to add this particular code in all the hundreds of files where I have written this logic. Okay. So this is clearly the second problem. Now comes the factory design pattern, which will eliminate all those problems for us. So in the factory design pattern, what we do is firstly, let's remove the giant. Okay. Yeah. So in factory design pattern, what we'll do is we'll copy this code. Firstly, copy this code, remove this code from the client. Okay. Let's remove this from the client. Done. So I've removed that code from the client and I've created one class called as factory, troop factory. So in this class, I have to just create one function and it will return me the troop. The name of the function can be anything, but I'll write create troop and it will take the input of the user. So this is the input of the user and accordingly it will create the troop. Okay. So I have just pasted that code over here. So this is the code that I have pasted, which was present in the client code. Right. So this function will basically take the user input and create the object accordingly and return the troop. And by the way, we can make this function as static so that we don't have to create the object of troop factory. So now in this function, in this class, in this client code, what we'll do is we'll say troop will ask the factory to create the troop for us. We will not write the if else statement. Instead, factory will do that for us. So I'm saying that troop factory, please create the troop for me. And this is the input given by user. So it will create the troop and assign that troop to this particular variable. And that's it. Job is done. So let's run the code. Now, if I give the input as wizard, then also we are getting the wizard object. Again, let's run again. If I give the input as barbarian, then also we are getting the object of barbarian. Okay. So we have successfully implemented the factory design pattern over here. So it was very simple to understand. So I hope you understood the factory design pattern and why do we use factory design pattern. So if you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends. Thanks.